My name is Nicole and this is Rachael Herron. And Rachael writes knitting romance, or as she just said earlier today, which I did not know, knitlit. And I'm a huge fan of the word knitlit. Rachael came to fame even before writing as a blogger for Yarn A Go-Go. It's her blogging knitting site. She's also a memoirist, and her first book, How to Knit a Heart Back Home? Or is that
That's
the second
one, but How to Knit a Love Song.
How to Knit a Love Song rocked my world. I haven't read the second one yet. I just got it from the goodie bag room, and I'm really excited. But the first one rocked my world, and I write urban fantasy, so it's like totally different. And I often don't like contemporary romance very much because it's just so different from what I like. But I love a good book, and I absolutely adored her first book. It's sexy, it's really sweet, but it's got a lot of female empowerment in it in a really interesting way of sort of physically embodying the idea of empowerment with knitting, which totally fascinated me. So I was really excited to read it.
I don't think I've ever been introduced that well before. Thank you. And this is Nicole Peeler, and she writes with Orbit Books, and she writes the Jane True series, which I'm in love with. And I think we have some similarities in that I don't usually read urban fantasy. That's not my bag. But this is our anniversary.
Hi.
We met a year ago here at Romantic Times.
Yeah.
And because I met her, I wanted to read her books, and I was blown away. And actually, I've never told you this, but it brought me into urban fantasy.
Yay!
And now I'm reading all of them. And the first one is Tempest Rising. I get the name, but the first book is Tempest Rising. I read the first and the second in the series. There's still the third for me to read, and more coming.
Yay.
And they're fabulous. Again, really strong lead female character who's not only strong but really funny. Irreverent is always the word that springs to mind. A little bit dirty, but really about her own life and taking charge and learning about this. You know, she's learning what she has, the power that she has, and she's learning how to use that. I love them.
But I think that is what I see. I think we both, in our fiction, we both have vulnerable heroines who are really trying to be strong.
And we have vulnerable heroines that we don't allow. They save themselves.
Yeah.
We don't.
No, they have to save themselves
They have to
using
save
the tools that they actually have.
Right.
Like there's no sort of deus ex machina all of a sudden, which happens a lot in urban fantasy and paranormal romance and stuff. Which I enjoy those books too. I mean, I'm really into that idea of what you would do with sudden power.
Right.
But you know, they have to solve. At least initially, they have to save themselves with the books or with the tools that they actually have.
Right. I love that. I love that about your work. Thank you. Also, I wanted to ask you, and this is going to be frank now, dear listeners. I love the way you write sex. It is unapologetic. It's not embarrassed. It's not. It feels just right, and I want to know how is that difficult for you? Because it's very difficult for me.
It's actually something that I'm really ideologically, I'm really in favor of promoting a strong female sexuality. I think it's something that our culture, our society avoids. And I studied I have a PhD, I'm a college professor too, and I studied like power and sexuality in male literature, and it is unapologetic, and it's something that only men are allowed oftentimes. And that's what I love about romance, is romance does talk about unapologetic female sexuality, and I want to take it a step further and not strip it of affection and not make, but strip it of necessarily, the HEA idea. Like, I want Jane to be happy eventually, but she's going to go through the things that we go through as women, where we meet guys that aren't bad, they're not wrong, but they're not Mr. Right necessarily. But we have to have those relationships in order to be ready for the person who that is right. And we just need to explore our sexuality and to be honest about the fact that that's an important part of our lives.
Yeah.
It's not something we should be ashamed of. It's not something we should hide.
I love that Jane True has a drawer full of toys that one of her friends has been giving her over the years. And I actually was thinking about that when I, getting really frank, I had a migraine, and I was laying down and I was thinking about my plot in the second book, How to Knit a Heart Back Home. And I realized that to fix one of my plot problems, I had to have a dildo avalanche. And the phrase "death by dildo avalanche" landed in my brain, and I'm like, that's never going to get past my editor, ever. And it did, and it worked.
Yay!
And it was something that, it was a funny thing, but it actually fixed a relationship problem. So.
Well, and that's why I think I like your books, because one of the things that you do really well is you show how the character really wants love, and the fact that we all do need love, and the fact that we all do, but it's not her modus operandi. Like, she's actually looking for something else.
I think, yeah, she's looking for love for herself and for her, I like my characters to be building themselves first,
Yes.
just like you do.
Yes, and so she's looking for something else, and part of what she realizes she needs along the way is also that human contact, and that's as important as the fact it's a man or sex.
Right.
It's just that she can finally trust someone and can finally have that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really important. I mean, I hate to talk in terms of like sending messages to readers, but I think there's the things that I really want to talk about, and like, the idea of women really finding themselves and finding happiness through themselves first is something that I'm like a huge proponent of, because I think so many things in our society like beat women down and like tell us to hate ourselves and tell us to fear ourselves and fear what make us strong. And so I really want to sort of, I'm on like a one-woman mission, and then I read books like yours and I'm like, it's more than one woman, it's like a multi-woman mission to like raise up women and make us feel good about ourselves.
In the second book, that's basically my theme. I didn't know it until the third or fourth draft, but that is my theme, that Lucy is scared, so scared inside. She's only not scared when she's helping someone else. And she learns through the book what she's scared of. He finds out what his fears are.
Yeah.
But for me, something that's really difficult in contemporary romance is finding enough plot and conflict to sustain it without having him. I don't ever want my hero to be a jerk or have to rescue her.
Yeah.
But you still need that conflict, and I love that you have in yours the internal conflict and the external conflict. And I'm really jealous.
Well, and that's like a genre cheat.
Yeah.
Like we can end
I don't
someone
think it's
asked.
a cheat, but it's interesting.
It's just something that makes it it makes that issue easy. I don't know how people write contemporary romance. It must be really difficult, because it's like I can understand how people can easily, not easily, because you have another passel of
Nothing's
issues,
easy.
but as far
None
as
of the
like
writing
sexual
here.
tension is concerned, it's obvious where the sexual tension is going to come from in something like Regency, or where you have all the social constrictions that people can't have sex until they're married, and you have to get them to that altar. But nowadays, people can just, they can just say, hi.
Interested?
Sex?
Let's go.
Yeah, that's,
Conflict? No, not so much.
yeah, so then it's like, well, then how do you mix that up? And that is really difficult.
And I think that's why I don't know what my plot is until 2 or 3 drafts in, when I have layered the conflict
And like
up
I said,
to a
I
level.
can cheat, because I can just be like, and then risk of world ending.